Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. You guys, today we are going to do a video on how to write book 2 without getting harassed by code enforcement. This is not just a time management video, okay? We are also going to talk about some of the ins and outs of publishing a series versus publishing a standalone versus publishing a trilogy. Okay, we're gonna go into the weeds here a little bit because let's face it, if you've written book 1 and it's out there, you've got to market book 1 while you're writing book 2 and book 3 and book 4, right? Okay, you don't just stop with book 1, right? So at least most of us don't stop with book 1. So we've got to keep the homestead alive, right? You got to keep the house clean. You got to keep yourself clean, fed, nourished and alive. You've got to keep things going while you're marketing and while you're writing. And it takes some time. It takes some time management skills, and it takes some effort and some energy, and we're going to talk about all those things. Let me look at the outline, you guys, because we have a few points to go over. This is going to take a hot minute, okay? This is packed with information, so buckle up, get yourself a cup of coffee, and come on back, okay? Because it's going to take us a little time to go over all these things. Number 1, we're going to look at how timing with writing and releasing these things, we're going to look at how timing is different for a series versus a trilogy versus a standalone. Okay, we're going to look at timing. Number 2, we're going to look at your why. We're going to look at how your why makes a difference in how you write book 2. All right, and it's also going to make a difference in how you market. Number 3, we're going to talk about rapid release. All right, we're going to look at what that is and whether or not you should stress about it. All right, number 4, we're going to go over some time management tips because yes, there is a time management component to this. We're going to go over some time management tips from the trenches. And number 5, we're going to talk about the story Bible, the all-important story Bible, and how that can help with some of these time management tips. All right, now, before we dive in, we're going to do a couple of housekeeping items. I will give you a timestamp below to scoot past this if you don't wish to hear all this housekeeping stuff. But you guys, I do welcome you to subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Please welcome your friends to subscribe to the channel too. Because usually on this channel, Sandy Says Read, we're talking about books that have already been written. Usually I'm bringing you book reviews of books that have already been written. We do booktube tags. We talk about books. We interview authors and publishers and editors. We do bookish things here on the channel. Today's item is bookish. A little educational bookish, but usually it's books. You guys, if you like that, please subscribe. Please click the bell notification icon so you're notified each time we do this stuff. Also, I'm not a big channel. This is not a huge channel. Nobody knows who I am, so I do not have a sponsor. My sponsor is me. So I would like to ask y'all to check out my merch shop. I do have a merch shop where we have fun things like this. Punch today in the throat. Yeah. Designs like that are meant to inspire you to write book 2 and so on. And I have this one, which is, I feel like making my dreams come true. Yay. Yeah, we've got these on, book bags like that, on coffee mugs and travel mugs and pillowcases. Yeah. Also, I am a writer, so I have a ton of books out there. My most recent one, as of this filming, is 100 Things Duran Duran Fans Should Know and Do During This Life. Yeah, it is as crazy as it sounds. All right, is that enough of housekeeping and sponsorship stuff? Done with that. Let us dive into how to write book 2 without getting harassed by code enforcement. And I will admit to you guys, here's my confession, I have been harassed by code enforcement. Learn from me. All right, you guys, learn from my mistakes. Because yes, I have had the issues with the neighbors. Because I let myself get overwhelmed. I let myself do too many things. I did not manage my time properly. And a couple of summers ago, during the rainy season, the weeds were growing at the front of my property. And yeah, someone called code enforcement because they thought my weeds were too high. There was more to it than that. I was letting the weeds at the front grow because my neighbors like to park on my lawn and break my sprinkler system. There was more to it than just weeds were growing. I was allowing the weeds to grow. And I did have a conversation with code enforcement, and we did go over things I could do. It's a thing. It's another Oprah show for another day. What we're talking about today is how to keep code enforcement from bothering you. So we're going to do that. And the first thing on our list is talking about timing. Okay, timing for a series versus a trilogy versus a standalone. The timing of releasing these different books, getting them written and getting them out the door, it's going to be different depending on what you're doing, right? Okay, now everything about this really depends on how you're being published. If you are being published with one of the big five, a traditional publishing house, even with an indie publishing house, versus doing it yourself on your own, just publishing a book on your own, which, holy crap, that takes a lot of energy, right? These different ways to publish are going to affect the timing. Here's why. If you are being published by Knopf or Random House, well, Penguin, Random House, Knopf, all together. Let's say you're being published by one of the big five. They might have another author in their stable of authors who has a book similar to yours, maybe a similar plot line. You know, the adage that there is nothing new under the sun comes into play here. Maybe you and another author both have a very similar horror novel coming up. Maybe you have some similar tropes going on in that horror novel, each of you, and the idea of both of you being released in September for the October Halloween season is a negative thing. That publishing house isn't going to want to release both of those books at the same time. They're not going to do it. One of you will have to wait until next Halloween, or perhaps one of you will come out in August and the next one will come out in September or even October. Okay, there will be a juggling of those titles is what I'm trying to say. The timing depends upon how you're being published, who is publishing you. Even in the indie publishing houses, they are looking at their stable of authors, what those authors are offering to the marketplace, and deciding, okay, when will we release that title? Oh, wait, so-and-so has a title really similar to that. When will we release that one? And that's how they're deciding when these things will be released. That's just how it works out, okay? Other things come into play, of course, but that's one of the things that's happening there. That's one of the things that's messing with the timing. All right, does that make sense? Are you tracking with me here? Feel free to put questions in the comment field below. I lurk around here and I will answer them. People smarter than me also lurk around here and they will help answer too. All right, so let's talk about the series, okay? Because we're looking at the difference between the series and the trilogy and standalone. So let's look at the series. There are folks who ascribe to the idea of releasing one book per year in a series. There are folks out there who ascribe to the theory of releasing one book per quarter in a series, which, you know, that takes some doing, all right? But what you want to do, the point is to keep your audience satiated, right? You're trying to keep the audience happy. It's the audience that you're writing for. Now, you can fudge this. You can seed some of your ideas, some of your characters, some of your plot points. You can seed them in other series that you have, okay, and do some crossover. Let me give you some example because I don't know if I just made sense right there. Let's say you have a series. Let's use Sharon Hamilton as an example. She has a SEAL Team 6 series, okay? And it's a romance novel series, okay? But she has, she will release a book per quarter, all right, in that series. The thing is, she is releasing a book in the SEAL Team 6, and I don't know it well enough off the top of my head. I should have written this down. I don't know it well enough off the top of my head to give you the exact branches of the series. Okay, so we're going to make a couple up. All right, here I am making things up. But she'll have like a SEAL Team 6 mystery series, right? Okay, so in the mystery series in first quarter, she'll release a book. And then in the SEAL Team 6 Billionaire Babes series, she'll release one in the second quarter. Okay. And then in the SEAL Team 6 Hometown Cooking series, she'll release one in third quarter. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying there? But she's seeding elements in each of those series so that the audience is happy about it. The audience is expecting, okay, there's a SEAL Team 6 novel coming up each quarter. There's a SEAL Team 6 novel coming, and they're excited about it, even though they might not be looking for the billionaire baby trope, but that's what they're getting in second quarter, but they're happy about it because it's in the SEAL Team 6 series. Are you tracking with me here? Do you get it? Okay. And I think billionaire baby is one of her tropes. I believe that one is correct. Hometown Cooking is not. Okay. So you could fudge a little bit and end up having a book in your series released each quarter, but you don't necessarily have to have that book be mainline series. It could be a branch from the series and a branch from the series and a branch from the series. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, let me know in the comments below, and I will be happy to spell it hopefully more clearly there. Okay, so let's talk about the trilogy now and timing for releasing your trilogy. I have a couple different ways that my main epic fantasy trilogy happened, right? So we're going to talk about that as an example in a minute here. Folks that are better at this than I, they are releasing their trilogy like book 1, and then a year later, book 2, then a year later, book 3. If you're doing a rapid release, which we're going to discuss, that's happening more quickly. Now, hopefully, if you're doing this correctly, you've written the whole trilogy. The whole thing is ready to go when you get book 1 out the door. Hopefully, that's one of the things we're going to talk about here when we get into time management, right? Hopefully, you've written all 3 books in a trilogy. Hopefully. Now, how you're releasing them it really is going to be dictated by promotion, what you have time for promotion and marketing, right? If you've got time to spread that out over the year, that's awesome. And then you get all that marketing and promotion for book 1, then release book 2 and get all that marketing and promotion for book 2, then release book 3 and get all that marketing. You get it, right? The thing is, the best way to sell book 1 is to release book 2. It's just what it is. If you can release book 2, book 1 is all of a sudden going to get a surge in popularity, in interest. People are going to be like, oh, book 2. Well, where's book 1? All of a sudden, you're getting more interest in book 1 because book 2 is out, right? Now, let's look at the standalones, okay? When you're releasing standalone books that aren't connected to a series or a trilogy, or if they're not connected to one another, maybe you're thinking it doesn't matter when they get released. And it probably doesn't, unless you're trying to build your author brand. If you're trying to build yourself, then you want to keep some momentum going. You want to keep yourself in front of your audience. Now, I have an example of Wilson Rawls and his books. These 2 books, Where the Red Fern Grows, which, of course, devastated all of us when we were younger, and Summer of the Monkeys. These 2 books are not connected. The main characters are not the same. The plot don't connect. Okay, these 2 are not in a series. All right, but when I was in 6th grade, 5th grade, when I was in grade school, our teacher read to us from Where the Red Fern Grows after lunch recess. We went to lunch, we went to recess, we came back in, teacher read a chapter to us. By the end of the book, we were all sobbing, of course, in class. Every one of us was emotionally devastated, but every one of us wanted to know if Wilson Rawls had written anything else. Every one of us wanted to have another book read to us by Wilson Rawls. Okay, so if you have a standalone book out there, your audience might be looking for the next thing that you've written. So when you're writing book 2, go ahead and get it written and get it out the door, right? So that the next book the audience is looking for will be available. Okay, so that is still branding. To have that first book out there and get that second book out the door too, it's still branding, even if they're not connected, even if the plots aren't connected and the characters aren't connected, it's still branding because it's still you. Point 2 today is, what is your why? I want you to think about, what is the reason that you're writing any of these books? Why did you write book 1? Why are you writing book 2? What is your why? So far, we've talked a lot about, release dates and marketing dates and getting the second book, by a certain time. But why are you doing that? Okay. What if, getting the second book out the door really quickly so that you don't lose momentum? What if that's not important to you? What if you're not worried about momentum? Okay. Think about, why do you write? I'm asking you the question, why do you write? Is it because you've got these characters in your head and you care about them and you just want to write down their story? Is it just because you feel inside that you can't go on if you don't write down that story? I mean, do you wake up in the morning with an idea in your head because you dreamt about it and you've got to scribble it down on a piece of paper so you don't lose it? I mean, is it just that you must write, and publishing is secondary? And if you get it published, great. If someone else reads it later, great, that's fine. Is that your why? Because you just must write it? If that's your why, then getting book 2 done by a specific date so that you have a rapid release, that's not going to be important to you. That part of this talk isn't going to be important. You don't have to worry about rapid releases, and you don't have to worry about the lawn. You can go out there and mow when you're ready, right? If that's your why, God bless you. Right, do it. Be joyful with it. Okay. All right. So what about if you want to make a bunch of money at writing, and you want to make money at publishing, and you want to be able to retire from the day job and just write and make money at writing and maybe buy a pool? Okay. What if that's your why? Well, then doggone it, you're going to need to do rapid releases. Probably, you're going to want to get into a group like what is it? I wrote it down, right? Yeah. 20 books to 50K. You're going to want to get into a group similar to that. Maybe not that one, since I think they are ethically challenged now, but you're going to want something that will help you write a bunch of books and get them out in a quick fashion and market them fantastically and get keywords set up perfectly, right? You're going to want something like that to help you get those things out the door quickly. That's totally valid. What if what you want to do is get published by one of the big 5? What if your dream is to have an agent, a literary agent, who will walk hand in hand with you and be by your side and help you and be your partner in this? What if you're looking for that partnership, that camaraderie, right? That companion to help you get your story in front of an editor and the purchaser at a big 5, right? What if that's your dream? You want to be published by someone who has big distribution so that the masses get to see your story and meet your characters. What if that's your dream? That is also totally valid. Lots of people have that dream. There's a way to work toward that, okay? Your why is going to influence when you're writing these books, how you're writing these books. It's going to influence your time management. It's going to influence everything that we talk about from here forward, okay? Point 3, we're going to talk about the rapid release, okay? This is the one where if you are looking toward, making money at this business, if you're looking toward getting all those books out the door quickly so that you can start building momentum and building an audience and building some cash, rapid release is one of the ways to go, all right? It's not easy, but it's one of the ways to go. And there are organizations, groups, I don't want to call them organizations. There are groups out there who can help you get on a track, get on a goal-oriented track to release books quickly. And I'm talking about at least 1 book per month, if not 1 book every 2 weeks. There are some folks who release a book per week. And those were people who were doing it before artificial intelligence made it unethical and easy to release a computer generated piece of crap every week. So the rapid release is not going to happen with a traditional publisher. It's probably not going to happen with an indie publisher unless you sit down with your indie publisher and say, here's a plan that I have. Would you be interested in doing this plan with me? I mean, that, boy, you've got to have an interesting relationship with your indie publishing house and your indie publisher to sit down and go over a rapid release plan and make it happen. Maybe. But if you're self-publishing, you've got this. And let me tell you why you've got this. You've got this because I was able to do it in 2020. It takes a lot of planning. It takes pre-planning. It takes getting everything lined up. It takes writing books 2 and 3 and 4 before book 1 is done. Okay, you're writing all these books simultaneously. You're getting these things lined up and done all together. Okay, all right. Basically, you plan ahead. Okay, if you're going to do rapid release, you're going to plan ahead. Just because book 1 is complete doesn't mean you release it. Okay, you're getting books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're getting them all complete before you start releasing, before you release book 1. And there's a couple of reasons for this, not just the logistics of it, but also when you're releasing book 1, you're going to have something in the back of it. Hold on a second. You're going to have back matter in book 1, and that back matter is going to include a scene from book 2. So here in Problems on Eldora Prime, which is book 1 in the Dragons in Space series, at the end of this thing, I have a scene from Problems Above Pangaea Moon, book 2 in the Dragons in Space series. And then at the end of that, there is, here's information on how to get book 2, right? Then when we go to book 2, right? You know what's coming. Okay, here's Problems Above Pangaea Moon. This is book 2 in the Dragons in Space series. And at the end of it, we have a scene from Problems in Anity's Core, book 3 in the Dragons in Space series. Okay, we line them up and knock them down. Okay, you can plant that information in these books. You can plant the seed for the next book in the series. If you're doing a rapid release, you can plant it if you've got them already written, if you've got them already edited, if you've got them already formatted, if you've got them already ready to go, right? If you've planned ahead. Have the marketing plan ready too, right? Okay, so we've got the books 2 and 3 and 4 ready. Have the marketing plan ready as well. When I was releasing these back in 2020, I had book 1 in January, book 2 in February, book 3 in March, right? I had the marketing for each of those months ready to go. Have your tour lined up. You can do a book tour for these things, line it up ahead of time. You can do that if you have the books written, edited, formatted, ready to go ahead of time. Some of these online book tours, which we will talk about in the end, some of these online book tour services, they request a lot of information up front, and they book these tours well in advance. They're doing that because they have to get in touch with the different blog hosts, the different podcast hosts, the different vlog hosts. They're getting in touch with people who are going to either review the book, which takes a little bit of time. They're getting in touch with people who are going to interview you, perhaps, people who are going to ask you to write a guest post. They're reaching out to people who are going to want things back from you. There's a back and forth that takes place. It takes some time to put that together. All right, so have your tour lined up. Have all the covers created by the same illustrator. Okay, you noticed on Problems on Eldora Prime and Above Pangaea Moon and in Anity's Core, we have something similar going on there. While this one is a bit more volcanic, because it needs to be, this one's a bit more volcanic, it is still outer space. Okay, these are dragons in space. Okay, and we have dragon. There's dragons on each one of these covers. We have the dragon logo. Okay, there's the Dragons in Space logo, book 2. Okay, that is on each one of these covers. When these were first done, these covers, when they were first done, they did not match. They didn't line up. Remember, I told you they were done by different different publishing houses. This was Problems on Eldora Prime. There's no dragon. What would make anyone think that this was taking place in space or that it had dragons in it? Nothing. And then you guys, I'm so embarrassed by this cover. You ready for this one? Ta-da! Yeah, okay. Problems Above Pangea Moon. This is a terrible cover. I don't want it to be up there too long. This is a terrible cover. I mean, yeah, you had the outer space concept going on, but did you see a dragon there? No. Yeah, the covers are better now, but the idea is you want to have the books in your series done by the same illustrator. You want them to be in the same style. You want it to look like they belong in a series together. All right. You're also going to get the arcs out to reviewers for reviews. You're probably using beta readers. You've got to get those things out the door early. So you're planning ahead. You're getting that stuff done. You're doing that for books 2, 3, 4. You did it for book 1. Do it for all of them. Just get it all done all at the same time. We talked about the teaser chapters. Then once you have all these things in motion, once you have testimonials coming in, once you have covers being developed, once you have all the pieces coming together, then you can drop book 1. Then you can drop book 2, 3, etc. Now let's move on to some time management tips. Okay, we've talked about the rapid release. Hopefully I went over that well enough. If you've got more questions about it, put them in the comment field below. I'm happy to help. There are people who do rapid release much more often and much better than I do. And please reach out to folks in the comment field below and have a conversation about that, because you can build momentum, you can build audience, and you can start to build some dollars with rapid release of a series. Here's your time management tips, because the only way you're going to be able to do rapid release, the only way you're going to be able to release your trilogy in a segmented or a logical fashion is if you're managing your time and getting book 2 completed, getting book 3 completed, right? We're pretending now that book 1 is done. Okay, book 1 is finished. It's ready to be released. So what are we doing about book 2? Hopefully we've already written it, because book 1 is now being marketed. It's time to market that thing. It's time to let the world know this book exists. Just because you've written it doesn't mean anybody cares. I know, right? It's a harsh, terrible reality, but there's over 1,300 books being released every day out there in North America. Wow. So you have to stand out from the crowd. So you've got to market the thing. You've got to let people know. Take advantage of the free tools that make marketing tasks faster and easier. Okay. There are graphics creators like canva.com. There's bookbrush.com. Okay. There are free tools. Although BookBrush, I think they only give you a little bit free and then they like yank it away from you and you've got to pay a membership, but it's not very expensive. I could afford it, so it's not very expensive. There are platforms that will help you get some graphics put together, and they're intuitive. Okay, canva.com, very intuitive. They have a background remover in canva.com. So if you've got a picture of yourself with like stuff in the background here, you can put that picture on Canva and say background remover. Just click that little button and it removes the background for you. You don't have to take it into Photoshop, which I have done. You don't have to take it into Photoshop and like do the funky stuff to try to get the background out. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just hit a button and it takes the background out for you. Is it always clean? Well, no, you might still have to go in and do some stuff, but it's so much easier than it used to be, okay? There are very intuitive, very clever devices in Canva that you can use without resorting to their AI tools. They do have AI tools as well. You don't have to use their AI tools if you don't want to. You can if you wish. Bookbrush.com. I have used Bookbrush, as I just mentioned. I do have the lowest tier pay thing that you can do in BookBrush. You guys, there are tools out there to help you with marketing materials. When you do an online book tour with a company, they will help you with some graphics as well. They'll have a banner for your tour, right? There are different ways to get marketing materials that don't require a ton of graphic design skill, okay? Right. There are social media schedulers to help you with your time management, right? Let's face it, we've got to post stuff on social media. We've got to make the world know that we exist. We've got to make ourselves known to the world. Okay, so we've got to be on some social media platforms. Okay, I am on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm on MeWe, and I'm on YouTube. Yeah, there are a couple that I had to just yeet. I couldn't take it anymore. But there are a few platforms I'm still on, and I'm there, and I interact with people who are kind. And then I post stuff about my books. I post stuff about this channel. I post things to let people know, hey, I'm also an author. Please pay attention to my books. I do post stuff there. So once in a while, I will sit down and use TweetDeck or Buffer or Hootsuite or eClincher. One of those sites will help me in scheduling the posts. So I don't have to use hours out of my day or out of my week to schedule things and play on social media. Because you guys, if you're writing book 2 or 3, you don't have time to play on social media. You can take like a chunk of time on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and schedule your posts for the following week. Here's the thing I want you to be careful about. Yes, it is nice to have a scheduling thing like eClincher go ahead and schedule these posts for you. And then they're done, right? And it would be so easy to then just ignore it. Please don't ignore it. The audience that you're trying to develop, the friends that you're trying to talk to online, they will see your post and they might engage with that post, but they also want to engage with the person behind the post. Okay, so the scheduling platform can post it for you, can help you create it even, and get it posted at a certain time when you might be at the grocery store, when you might be traveling to pick up the kids from soccer practice. Okay, the scheduler can do the scheduling, can do the hard part when you're not available, but come back to it and check it and interact with your audience. Okay, don't leave your audience hanging is what I'm trying to say. Some of those platforms like eClincher has a device, has a setting where you don't have to go onto Twitter. You can respond to your audience right there on the eClincher platform. You go into your dashboard, you see the post, and yeah, it posted at such and such time like it was supposed to, yay. And then you can see, oh, these 3 people made comments. And you can respond to those 3 comments right there in the dashboard. You don't have to go to Twitter to respond to those folks. I think you have to pay extra for that. I haven't used eClincher in quite a long time, but you had that option. And I think Hootsuite lets you do that too. Check it out. Look at those different platforms. See which one offers you what is best for your time management. Okay. They exist. They're there. They will help you. Will make it easier for you to get in front of your audience without taking too much of your time. All right. All right. Next, I've mentioned tour managers, being able to help you with some graphics. Tour managers like Goddess Fish Tours, Silver Dagger Tours, Joe Linsdell, she's a friend of mine over in Italy. These folks can help you with online book tours or online blog tours to talk about your books. They can help you get in front of the masses. They can help you get onto different blogs, onto different podcasts. They can help you with review sites, putting you in connection with different reviewers. They can help you do these things so you don't have to go out and individually find every single one of these people that you want to talk to. Story time. When I first released Choices Meant for Gods, Archibooks Publishing released that thing in 2007, right? And at that time, I went online and I found individual bloggers in the blogosphere who were willing to talk about Choices Meant for Gods and Sandy Lender, the new author, for I think it was a 2-week online book tour. So for 2 weeks, each day I was on a different blog. I set that all up myself. It was exhausting. It took forever, but I did it because I didn't have the option of going to Goddess Fish. I don't think they were around yet. I think they got started shortly after that. They've been around for 15 years. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, I set that up and it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of energy. It took a lot of time. You don't have to do that. You can use one of these services to do it for you. Okay. There are also virtual assistants available. These folks are real human beings. You don't have to set up a virtual assistant that's an AI. You can get a virtual AI to help you with like emails. I will reserve my comment on that, but there are human beings out there who can do assisting virtually. You can get someone to help you with scheduling stuff, with scheduling radio interviews, with sending out press releases, with doing some of this stuff. You will have to pay for that. They're not working for free. You'll have to pay for that, but they can help you with some of this time management stuff. Anything that you can get a social media scheduler to do, or a online book tour manager to do, or a personal assistant to do, anything that you can get a graphic design program to do so that you don't have to do it, is a few minutes saved or an hour saved. That online book tour thing, it's like many hours saved. That is time that you can put into your creative writing time. That is time that you can move into the category of writing book 2 and book 3 and book 4, right? Okay, so while book 1 is being marketed, you can be writing book 2 and 3 and 4. Hopefully you've already written book 2, but you can be writing while those things are going on in the background and you don't have to be monitoring them. Okay? Okay. Make a schedule. You guys, doesn't that sound so simple? Doesn't that sound logical? Make a schedule. It drives me nuts when someone says to me, well, just make a schedule. Just manage your time better. You guys, if you make a schedule, give yourself grace. Things are gonna happen. Crap is going to go wrong in life because it's life. We are human beings. Weird things are gonna come up, okay? You are gonna have a Sunday afternoon of writing planned. You are going to have it ready. You're gonna have your computer set up and a notepad next to the computer with a pen. You're gonna have your cup of coffee and a glass of water. You're gonna be ready to go. And the pipe under the sink in the kitchen is gonna break. Yes, I'm talking from experience. The pipe under the sink in the kitchen is going to break and water is going to go everywhere. And you're going to have to get the wet vac from out of the garage and clean that up and fix the sink. Okay, things are going to happen. This is life. Give yourself grace. Yes, I do recommend making a schedule. Make a schedule because you will be surprised at how much stuff you are able to get done. You're going to be surprised at how much stuff you do. You are an author. You have written a book. You are a flippin' rock star. Face it, you are amazing. You already know how to manage a schedule to write a book. Now you have to squeeze in marketing that thing and doing all those extra tasks while you write another one. Okay, that's what's happening now. You can do it. You've done it once, you can do it again. Trust me, I've written 20 of them. Okay, I have a full-time job. During the week, I'm working a full-time job. Sometimes it's 40 hours, sometimes it's a whole lot more than that, right? Because we have deadlines. I make it work. I put together a schedule for myself and promptly torched that because, oh my word, the type of job I have, like I just mentioned, sometimes we're on deadlines, not every week. It changes from day to day. So for me to sit down and put together a schedule that says at 8:05, I will be at the work computer and I will work from 8:05 until 5:30. That is not my life. That's not my experience. That's not my reality. And that might not be your reality either. Okay. So put together your schedule as best you can. Chunk your time as best you can. Put together those blocks of time and see where you have those blocks of time for marketing, where you have those blocks of time for writing book 2, where you have those blocks of time where you can outline book 3, right? Make sure you're keeping the whole series in mind while you're writing. Most of my writing happens on evenings and weekends and marathons. Okay, I know there are a lot of writers out there who will say this very toxic thing that if you're not writing every day, then you're not a writer. You've got to write every single day. You must make time to write every day. You've got to get a word count every day. Please yeet that negativity from yourself. Okay, if you can write 500 words every day, I applaud you, and that is awesome. If you skip a couple of days because of crap going on in your life, you are no less a writer than me or than Stephen King or than Anne Rice was, okay? You are still valid. You are still a writer. It's just something has gotten in the way. Or maybe you only write on the weekends. That's fine. That is valid. You are still a writer. Lean into it, okay? Make your schedule so that you can have those blocks of time on the weekend to do your writing. Protect it. Make it precious, okay? Like the One Ring. Make it precious to you, okay? So that that time you have on the weekends is protected. Unless the sink explodes, and then you got to deal with that. Right now, I mentioned the marathon writing. And that's where we got off course there. The marathons I protect my marathon writing like you wouldn't believe. Over Labor Day weekend, I participate in the 3-day novel contest, which is sponsored by Anvil Press up in Canada. Okay. I do that every Labor Day weekend. It has become sacred to me. Okay. I can write a novel in those 72 hours. It will suck. It will require immense editing 4 or 5 months later. Okay. I love that experience. I can get a novel cranked out in those 72 hours and it is exhilarating. I love it. That is great. If you enjoy marathon writing, participate in something like that and get a novel out. Do it. Or if you decide you want to just write a short story that weekend, do it. Take advantage of it. Do whatever you need to with it. And that might be book 7, right? It's going to have to be edited. Fine. But it might be book 7 in this series that you're working on. That is totally valid. Do it. Make it happen. It's part of the schedule. Okay. The schedule in my life is not day to day to day. My schedule is this quarter. I'm looking at this quarter. How much writing am I going to accomplish this quarter? What am I doing this quarter? Well, I'm mowing the grass. I'm getting the weeds knocked down, right? I'm taking care of my pet birds. I'm taking care of their cages. I'm taking care of their jungle gyms, right? Things are happening around the writing schedule. I'm getting it done. Just get it done. Use those writing marathons. Yes. Oh, and also Morgan Hazelwood is an author and a participant in the Imaginarium Convention, and she has a channel here on YouTube where she does writing sprints every Sunday afternoon. I recommend looking her up, and I'll try to remember to put a link to her channel in the information box, because every Sunday afternoon at 4:30, at either 4 or 4:30, she begins her afternoon live stream. And during the live stream, there are scheduled writing sprints. So for 20 minutes, folks who are watching the live stream just type and write like mad for 20 minutes. Use something like that in your schedule. Right. What else? In your schedule, use everything for inspiration. Everything around you can be inspiration. Maybe that's not part of your writing, but it's part of your writing life. It's part of your writing mind. And then edit it later. Write it down if you need to on a notebook. Use your phone. If you're in line at the grocery store and something, tickles your fancy, type it into your notes on your phone and then edit it later. Okay. Yeah. Use it. My crazy neighbors, one of them who turned me into code enforcement, those crazy neighbors go into my writing life. They have been in a story before. Trust me, They work their way in there. Not the actual person, because that would be illegal and not allowed. I have used inspiration from my neighborhood in a story, and that story won second place in the International 3-Day Novella Contest a few years ago. So yeah, use it all. That stuff is inspiration, and that's part of your writing, and that's part of working into your schedule. Now, we're going to talk about the Story Bible. The Story Bible is something that you can use for quick reference. If you're trying to manage your time and you're writing book 2 or book 3, the last thing you want to do is go, oh my gosh, what color was that character's hair? Or what color was that character's eyes? Or how did that character spell their nickname? Or did that character have a nickname? You don't want those kinds of little pieces tripping you up while you're writing book 3, book 2, book 7, okay? When you're on that, well, when you're writing on a marathon weekend, you're not stopping to look up details like that. But if you're working on book 2 and you have a plot point that all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, didn't that character, break their leg in book 1? I need to have that scar on them in book 2. You need to look it up. You don't want to go back and find that in book 1. You don't want to be flipping through the pages to find where this accident happened and then confirm, okay, yes, the leg did break. That takes a lot of time. And that's taking time away from that block of time you've set aside for writing. And remember, we're calling that block of time precious. We're protecting that time. That is precious time. With everything else you've got going on, that block of time is to be protected. You want it to be very quick if you need to look something up, okay? If you need to double check something, you want it to be quick. So your Story Bible is going to save your life in those instances. I'm getting, it's taking a little while to get through this, isn't it? All right, but we're going to talk about the Story Bible now. All right, the Story Bible is vital. You guys, this thing is what's going to keep you consistent through your series, through your trilogy, whatever you're writing, okay? This is also going to keep you from interrupting your flow. When you're typing away and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, did that character die in book 2? Did that character make it through to book 3? Here you go. It's in your Story Bible, okay? I have more in the Story Bible in my computer, in the file, than I have printed out. This is just the latest printout of it. There are dates, there's information like that in this Story Bible for my fantasy world. It keeps me from screwing up. This is the stuff that is below the surface when we're talking about that iceberg, okay? Y'all know what I'm talking about there. When you're writing your story, you have an iceberg, and the iceberg of, or the amount of stuff that you're telling and showing and sharing with your audience is up here above the surface. There is so much more that you know, that you have, that you are using to shape this. All of this down here is below the surface. That's what's in your Story Bible. All that stuff that's below the surface. And, the stuff that your reader knows too. Is that enough? Have I rambled enough? Can we go to the summary of all this? The Story Bible, I have mine printed out like this because I'm very tactile. My host enjoys the tactile sensation. I'm very tactile. I like to be able to flip through it and see it. It's in, the gods and the immortals, they are in alphabetical order. Okay. Everything in there it all makes sense to me in my brain. The way everything is lined up, it makes sense to me. I know where I can flip and find something that I need. Flip and find something that I need. The dragons. Oh, there's no tab for the dragons, but the dragons are at the back. All the different dragons, the species, what they eat, what they look like, how big they get, their characteristics. The dragons are in there, right? Everything makes sense. I know where to find it. That's how I organize my Story Bible. Yours might be different, right? Sharon Hamilton, she has a person who is her Story Bible. Yeah, what's that, right? She was giving a presentation at the Ignite Your Imagination conference down in Tampa, and she was sharing with the audience that she has a person who gathers all that stuff as she's doing like the proofreading and the editing, and she gathers all that stuff. That's a person who is her story Bible, who acts as her story Bible. And I'm like, holy crap, that I am way too controlling to let that happen. There's no way that I would have a person who was in control of all that information and that I would have to go to that person for that. I couldn't do it. That's me. That's me. That's my holdup. If you use Scrivener, if you use that program, Scrivener will create a story Bible off to the side as you're typing out your manuscript. It's creating a story Bible for you. There are programs, there are ways to create a story Bible that are not as intensive as the one I did. I mean, I typed this thing up as I'm writing my stories, as I'm writing like short stories and novellas and things that are connected to the world of Unveiled. As I'm typing those things up, I'm like, oh yeah, Cora did this. I need to put that in the story Bible. And I'm typing it that way. Okay. Basically, your results may vary. Put your story Bible together however you want to put it together, however makes sense for you. The point is you want to have a story Bible so that you are consistent throughout your series with all your parts and pieces. And so you have it available. It's at your fingertips and that information is right there. So if you're having a moment where you're having a brain fart and you think, oh my gosh, did that character break their leg? Look and see. Yes, they did. I can keep typing. I can keep going. I can keep working during this block of time that I've set aside for writing today. All right. The main takeaway. All right, you guys, the main takeaway, we have covered a lot. Okay, we've been at this for a little while here. We've covered a lot, but the main takeaway, the thing I want you to remember is you are trying to get all these books written before you drop that first one. But if you already have, if you must, if the publisher is demanding it, if there's some reason why you've got to get that first book out the door, so you're marketing while you're writing these others, don't stress. It's okay. Use some of these time management ideas. Use some of these social media schedulers. Use some of these, online tour promoters who can help you. Use some of these devices that can help you gain back some time for your writing. Okay. But if you can, get that second book ready before you release the first one. If you can, get it ready before you release second, third, fourth. Get them ready. Get them to a point where they're almost done before you release that first one. If you can. If you can. If you can, and if that's your why. If this isn't your why, if you're not trying to build momentum, if you're not trying to get an audience to recognize you and recognize your name like every couple of months, don't stress about it. Let it take some time. Let it be organic, or don't stress. You shouldn't stress about this anyway. It's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to enjoy this and love it. Well, let's see. Some of these tips will help you use your time more efficiently. Yeah, but it all depends on your why. It all depends on why are you writing. So think about that. And you know what? Share in the comments below. Tell me, why are you writing? Why are you doing it? Is it because you love it? Is it because you want to make money at it? Is it because you have this dream of being published and distributed in every bookstore? Why are you writing? Maybe there's something else completely. Maybe there's a character who is just driving you out of your mind and you must. Okay. I think I have covered all the things that I needed to cover. We have talked about timing with writing and release. We've talked about your why and how your why makes all the difference. We've talked about rapid release. I think we probably could do a total separate video on rapid release alone, you guys. We've talked about some time management tips and some things, some platforms and some things you could use to help manage your time. And we've talked about that all important story Bible. You guys, I cannot stress enough how important the story Bible is. However you want to put your story Bible together, it is just, should I have defined it? Should I have said the story Bible is all the little bits and pieces that you need to remember to keep your series consistent? It's your main character's description. It's your side character's description. It's It's your places. It's the names and the spellings of the places. It's your map. Okay, I have a map for the world of Unveiled. That map is on, you can't see it in this video, can you? It's back here in this in this bookshelf, but I have printouts of it. I've got it framed throughout my house. I can take you anywhere in the world of Unveiled. Okay, I know how long it takes to get from Pleo Arcana up to the City Arcana. Okay, I know all these bits and pieces about it because I've got that map memorized, right? Put together your story Bible. Put inside of that story Bible what you need to help you stay on track, to help you track the different pieces and parts and elements of your story. That's it, you guys. Hey, if you have stuck with me all the way to here, thank you. Thank you for sticking with this. Thank you for investing this time in your book's future. Thumbs up for writing book 2 without getting harassed by code enforcement. Go mow your lawn. And then write. Sit down and write something, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.